Hey Quinn, what are we doing here? I have a weird problem where I keep offering to deliver planes that I sold. That's right, the mighty 182. Been a good airplane for 14 months. But we are off to our next adventure, we think. Been a good plane, man.
Oh yeah.
Put an engine in it, put a prop on it, avionics. Yeah, I have a problem. I buy and sell airplanes. This one's a good one though. Hard to beat a 182. So here we are, well underway. We started out VFR, but we knew the clouds were going to come. We had checked the weather, of course. You see now it's starting to get a little solid underneath us. We're at 7,500 VFR on top of the clouds, perfectly legal. About 400 miles to go. It's a 600-mile flight down there. The mighty 182 can do it non-stop with the extended range tanks. We planned on a fuel stop and just didn't need it. We did it all in one shot, about 4.5 hours. So the clouds are getting more solid, and we're looking at our route. There it is, from the Chicagoland area to Columbia, South Carolina, just over 600 miles. And there is the weather we're going to be dealing with here in a minute, but that's just going to be a bunch of fun. We're up to the challenge. On our way. Woke Quinn up early this morning, so I gave him a break. He's taking a little snooze. That's what happens when you wake up 15-year-old kid up at 5 in the morning. Anyways, he's missing all the views. Look at this. It's just beautiful. If you don't have your instrument rating, you really need to go get it. There's some weather in the distance. I want to show you how it's depicted on ForeFlight. So that's what it looks like on the map. It's very accurate, actually. Nothing red and orange you don't want to fly into, and that's what it looks like. That storm would be really bad news for a small airplane like us. Let's check back in with Sleeping Beauty. Oh, I think he's doing some aerobatics in his dreams. He's dreaming about flying. Just look out the window. Look at those clouds. No, he needs a break. So we'll give him a little break. He's going to have to fly through the weather ahead, so I decided to let him nap. Again, look at this scene. I mean, when you're on top of the clouds, you're separated from the earth. It's like you're not even on earth anymore. You're in a whole different world. And if you haven't experienced this, especially in a small airplane, you really need to check it out. It's the only way to go. As opposed to scud running, we could have scud run underneath these clouds all the way. That is not the way to go. This is way better. Coming up on Lexington, Kentucky. Still a little ways from the weather, getting closer to that one big cell though, and well above Lexington's airspace, and more ominous weather down the road we're going to have to deal with, inching our way down to Columbia, South Carolina. Get some views of the instruments here. That's the GI 275. You start to see the mountains show up on the synthetic vision. That's an option on that instrument we opted for. 9,000 feet, old and new altimeters. 278 miles to go. We're a little more than halfway. Still 140 knots over the ground. Pretty good. There we are. Again, looking at that weather ahead of us. We're going to have to deal with it. Okay, we're finally getting down to the point where we're getting to all that weather. The tops are probably in the teens. They're not super high. Some are off to the right. See the mountains again really showing up a little bit better there. So bad weather ahead of us, really nowhere to land underneath us. And there's the weather depicted again on ForeFlight. A little pixelated, but good information. It's all you really need. So again, we're just up here, just trying to pick the best, smoothest way through. You know, these clouds here, if you fly through these in a small airplane, they'll really rock you. You'll feel it. And trying to teach Quinn, let him do all the flying. Hey, he's awake. Just learn how to do this kind of stuff. You know, learn what's safe, what's not safe. It's just really good information for him to have at this point. Great experience to be gained safely. And it's kind of fun. You can see the relative speed of the airplane a little better as you fly close to clouds. Now here's a little tiny poof of a cloud in front of us. We're going to fly through it, just give you an idea. It looks pretty benign. Watch what this does to us right here as we hit it. You can tell it shook us up pretty good. I mean, that was barely touching the top. So you can imagine going into one of these with more vertical development, or the tops of the clouds are much higher than you could really be taken for a ride up and down. Quinn's working the trim. He's got his cool dude sunglasses on. And so we're using the chart and our eyeballs to navigate through the weather. Visual is always best. We say in the airlines, one peek is worth 1,000 sweeps of the radar we use. But same thing here. If you could stay in the clear, it's a lot safer to avoid the rough rides. There's some guys you definitely don't want to fly into. And it's looking a little bit in front of us like there's not going to be a way through, right? Kind of a big wall there. Still at 9,000 feet. 177 miles to go, not too bad, slight tailwind. You can see not a lot of places to land here if the engine were to go out. Quinn's looking confident, knows what he's doing. He's been around clouds before. Again, you see one go by, it's kind of fun. And yeah, I'm trying to point the way there, just off to the right. I think I see a gap. Sometimes we call that a sucker hole because it looks like a gap, but it's not. Now look at that hole. Man, if I had a little more power and altitude, I could probably make it through that, but this airplane's probably not going to do that. You notice now we're way off course. We just went around all the bad stuff, and we're just picking our way through this little popcorn stuff, keeping it safe. And this is kind of cool too, kind of flying through the little valleys. You know, the clouds are getting higher and higher, so we're kind of almost like we're pressing our luck, but there's nothing with enough vertical development here that we really couldn't handle. It'd be kind of an uncomfortable ride, but it's not going to hurt this airplane, this kind of stuff. But we're trying to keep it comfortable, and really, Quinn did a good job. We didn't really hit too many bumps that hurt us at all. I mean, this has really been a great plane. There's no really good reason to get rid of it, other than I just like flopping airplanes. I like swapping them and trying something else every once in a while. But there's Quinn pointing. I think that's me pointing. And looks like we go a little further forward and we could find some blue sky to stay inside of. So this is, again, it's just a little bit closing in on us, but we end up making it out all right. Great airplane, the 182. Like I said, not many planes can go over 600 miles and still land with, we landed with almost an hour and a half of gas still in the tanks. All right, this is one of my favorite shots. There's a little valley right there, about as wide as the wings on a 182. And look at Quinn, he's banking to the right, he's trying to get centered on it. And we cut through this just absolutely perfectly. I mean, this is like, feels like you're Top Gun down in the valleys, but there's really no danger. So, I don't know, if flying like that and going through clouds like that and these sights don't do something for you, we're just different kinds of people. But I'm still glad you're here. And I'm still not going to show you any advertisements during my videos. You're just going to hear my boring voice talk, but we're not going to show you ads, because that's how we do it here. There's Quinn, he's pretty happy with that. That was a fun experience. Now we're finally out of it. We're on the other side. But look at the mountains. They really do show up well on this synthetic vision. And over here as well. And only 118 miles to go. Doing good. And I'll show you here. There's some tops right next to the airplane. 7,000 feet is the minimum safe if you're VFR. And look at the way it contours the glide ratio. That's how far that green circle is, how far the plane will glide. And it shows if you turn around, you're going to smack into a ridge. So it does change in the mountains for those of you that haven't seen that. So again, this has been a great airplane. We fixed it up. It's run wonderfully. It's got all the stuff we wanted. And we're just going to have a little more fun. So we got to say goodbye to the 182. This is its new home, unfortunately. It does not have a hangar yet. So it's going to cook outside a little bit on the ramp in the heat. But they're going to find a hangar for it and take good care of it, I'm sure. Thanks again for watching, you guys.